All right, good morning. Let me welcome you to Wichita County Commission Court. It's 10:05. We'll call this meeting to order. Everyone, please rise. This time I would ask you to join me in prayer. Father God, we come to you together today, and we cannot help but be very thankful for the amount of rain that has fallen. We ask that you continue to bless this land and to do that, and to help to fill the tanks and the streams and the things that are so dry. And Father, over the land that has provided so much fuel that causes danger to man and crops and livestock. Father, we ask that you reach out and continue to bless those and help us. Father, we look to today and we ask that you reach from the Washington, D.C. through to Wichita Falls and guide us and all of us that have been elected to serve the people of the land, that we do so with gentle hearts and wise minds. And Father, as we come together today and we exchange here, let it be in a civil and positive manner that we look for the best solutions. Father, we think especially about those men and women that serve in uniform and are called from first responders to law enforcement to defenders of freedom. It is in these things we ask your name and your blessing. Amen.
Amen.
Now, if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take seats, please. We do have a presentation to make this time, and I would ask Mr. Alan Patterson from Community Health Clinic to come forward, please.
Morning, Alan.
Like that tie.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we've done this before.
A couple of times.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the Community Health Care Center, because this is very familiar wording, but really it's what you all do, and this is an opportunity to do that. Let me get that microphone for you.
I was going to say, but if you use the broken microphone first.
Well, it's not broken. It's an idea so people will hold it instead of trying to dodge it on the little stand. Just go ahead and pick it up, put it in your hand there. Yeah.
Well, Judge.
Yes, sir.
My fellow residents of Wichita County. My name is Alan Patterson. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Community Health Care Center in Wichita Falls and in the County of Wichita. On behalf of the Community Health Care Center, please accept my most sincere thanks for the proclamation for National Health Center Week, which the judge is about to give to us. And as he mentioned, this is probably the third time that we've been able to receive this annual recognition. Health centers were signed into law in 1965 by then President Lyndon Baines Johnson. And he did that at the same time he created a couple of other institutions in the United States. You may have heard of one of them, at least Medicare, maybe, I don't know. Medicare and Medicaid were created at the same time that he created the first two community health centers. Today, there are 1,500 health centers in this great country, and they have almost 11,000 clinic sites. There's 75 of those 1,500 health centers in the state of Texas, which total over 500 clinic sites. And of course, the one here in Wichita Falls, one of those 1,500, and we have 6 of those 11,000 sites. But it's a mighty, mighty health center. This particular health center was created with, frankly, a lot of leadership from people in this room, in particular, Judge Gossett, people at the city level, people at the county level, the medical society. Just an amazing number of people came up with a grassroots effort to be able to find primary health care services and make those available for the vulnerable of this community. And they've done an amazing, amazing job. My predecessor, a lady by the name of Phyllis Haraki, I give her all the kudos that I possibly can. I inherited an amazing health center, but we're not stopping with what Phyllis Haraki did. We grew by 30% in 2017. We're on stage to grow by more than that in 2018 and have plans to grow by even more than that in 2019, meaning by the end of 2019, we will have doubled the size of your community health care center in this community. This year we'll serve about 25,500 patients when it's all said and done. And next year we anticipate being in excess of 30,000 patients. And that will be with a total of about 90,000 visits, medical, dental, and behavioral visits. In addition to the primary health care, we do a lot of free sports physicals. You've probably seen a few of our t-shirts around town. This year we'll probably do 1,000 to 1,100 free sports physicals for area youth. And this may be the only way that these youth would have an opportunity to be able to participate in good, wholesome team sports versus getting involved with something that might not necessarily be as good and wholesome. Trying to do what we can to keep those guys in the back of this room from having to spend time with those youth. So we're getting them busy in team sports. We sponsor the Kids Fest. We sponsor the Safe Kids Halloween. In summary, we're just as proud as we can be to be your community health care center and proud to receive this proclamation again.
Glad to do it. Alan, well, I appreciate you explaining. You put meat on the bones of this presentation. This is what we do is the national proclamation it talks about, but what you said is what really happens with our community health center in this community. And, you know, it's amazing. It started from 3 trailer houses over there where your present building is. It's now expanded to the dental clinic there. You all are planning outreach of other centers in our community. And Alan worked hard and was instrumental in when we really worked at bringing the residency program back around. Unfortunately, that didn't come to the fruition we hoped. However, with the work of Alan's clinic and with United Regional Healthcare Systems, we now have met that patient load and are continuing to expand, and United Regional is building on additional family physician facilities at their Barnett Road facility. So in saying all of that, I want to say now therefore the Commissioners Court of Wichita County, Texas does hereby proclaim the week of August 12th to August 18th, 2018 as National Health Center Week in Wichita County, Texas, and encourages everyone to visit their local community health care center and celebrate the important partnership between America's health centers and the communities they serve. Signed this 13th day of August 2018 in Wichita County, Texas by the members of Commissioner Floyd Allen. Thank you very much.
If you'll write these 4 numbers down, 49, 74, 75, and 76. Write those?
Takes 5 to win bingo.
That's our lotto numbers.
Today's issue, the current issue of Wichita Falls Living, you'll find us on those 4 pages.
Great. The other thing to keep in mind, a lot of people think, well, this is located over on Martin Luther King Boulevard, and you have to be impoverished. No, Alan loves to get real green money, real insurance payments, and all, and they have excellent physician care over there. So if you don't have a physician, it's a public facility. So, Alan, thank you. Dave, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And thank you for what you all do in the community.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Give you a hug around.
Thank you. Please do.
Okay. On the consent agenda, I'd like to have us move item 2 down, which is the motion to amend Constable Precinct 4's travel budget, and have some discussion on that. And is there anything else you all want to do to the consent agenda before taking action on it?
Just questions.
Yes, sir.
3, and then just a comment on 9. On number 9, motion to approve reauthorization of purchase of 6 umbrellas. I just want to point out that we had approved $60,000 for that, and George and them cut $8 grand off of that, and just below $52,000. So I just want to say thank you, George, for doing what you can to cut that cost.
Yes, sir.
Item number 3. I was just looking at. This is the motion to file Defender supply invoice in the amount of $10,285. I just was kind of wondering, I looked at all the things that we were buying for the Tahoe and the pickup. I just didn't know if we actually needed all that stuff. Will, did you put this together?
No, sir.
No.
Chief Joe, probably.
Chief Choate?
Yes,
Did you put this together?
yes, I did.
I just looked at some of that stuff, I thought, you know, let's see. What is Iron Cross steps for a Chevy Silverado at $700? What is that?
That's the step side for, it's a 3/4 ton pickup. It's what we got for Garland Prince, for him to do the work. He pulls trailers.
What is an Iron Cross?
That's the name brand of the steps.
Like a running board.
Running boards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out that was running boards. Was looking here at on the same vehicle, I believe, there's a $900 charge for a rollback cover on the bed.
Yes, sir. Reason for that is because he hauls a lot of our seized drugs to the lab.
I thought we had confiscated that van deal back from Lee Burgoyne for that.
That's for the big loads, though. That's for the big weed.
So this is for small weed, okay. It's just a lot of money for accessories on a vehicle, and I just thought I'd look at it and just see if we really needed all that stuff.
There's a lot of things that he carries in that vehicle. There's extrication tools for forced entries. He's part of SWAT.
Oh, yeah,
They cover shields, they cover rams, they cover all kinds of equipment that now that we're open in public, we don't
How
have.
do y'all carry that
to it.
equipment now?
It's back in trunks of cars or floorboards, one of the old vans we use as a jump out van. The guys have to actually bring it from their vehicles, carry it into the van for the jump out vehicle. That's what we carry for that. And most importantly is the command post movement for any of that, either to the command post. But some of the drugs is like methamphetamine and heroin. If we got to put much heroin in the back of one of them trucks, we're going to be in national news for years because that'd be a lot of heroin to carry that big box truck we have. But that's for the weed that we get off the highways.
You can't really put the drugs in the backseat of a car either, you're breathing that
We've
shit.
done that. That's why we had to get away from that.
Why they such heavy deputies?
When we have Mr. Prince in an unmarked Tahoe, and a trooper just follows him because they do interdiction on 82 all the way down toward Abilene and stops him, and he gets 20 feet from the vehicle and smells the weed. His situational awareness raises to the point where he's got his hand on his gun asking our deputy to step out and to figure out what's going on. That has happened.
Oh, our deputy was hauling weed.
Prince, in an unmarked white Tahoe. Yeah, we're packing it in there and you smell it, and if there was a canine dog behind it, he'd be barking the whole time, so you smell it.
This is not for just one vehicle though. It looks like it's for a 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe and a Ford F-150 Chevrolet Silverado.
Ford Chevrolet?
It says Ford F-150. Oh, and Troy Products wide body 20-inch truck console for a Ford F-150
Oh, okay, you got a different deal.
Chevrolet Silverado with bucket seats and includes floor plate, dual cup holders, and armrest, and a
I
microwave.
think that means it'll fit either one.
Oh, okay. And I know that's where the radio and all that crap gets mounted. I mean, I just thought that was a lot. I just wanted to look at it. So it is for one vehicle,
Yes, it is one vehicle.
and it's not for a patrol vehicle.
And that was in your all's request for those vehicles. We have the accessory amount added in there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I did look at that. We had approved $9,496.37 for that. This is a little bit more than that, $10,285. And that could just be simply by the time we approved this, that was probably the price at the time, and the time we ordered it, it probably went up.
You're talking about almost a year.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted, us to be aware of what we're doing. It just seemed like a lot. And that's the only thing I had on the consent agenda.
Okay, Judge,
Yes, sir.
Let's make it perfectly clear on item 9 that we're not buying $51,000 worth of umbrellas.
What was it, all
But if you don't have the paperwork, you may not understand that, but George, we don't have $51,000 worth of umbrellas.
No, sir, that's,
Just 10,000.
we originally approved the 60,000 for the entire project. And it includes, the umbrella is the software that runs on the internet that kind of protects us as an umbrella. But we also have our 2 firewall devices we were able to get instead of one. That way we'll have redundancy. If one goes down, the other one kicks in automatically. And we have another appliance that manages those firewalls. So it's not just, it's a whole package deal looped in there with Cisco next generation firewalls.
Just want to make that perfectly clear. Although I could have used one this morning, we don't need $51,000 worth, but.
Well, one of our biggest cost of that is the 350, I'm gonna call it user license. They're $25.03 a piece for $8,700, so that's a big hickey.
Okay.
There's 350 of those.
Internet security is not inexpensive.
No, sir, it's not. If we want to do it on the cheap and do it very good, we just unplug from the internet.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can do business that way anymore.
How are we gonna get to Amazon.com? Amazon Prime.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item number 2?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, anyone in the audience on the items on the consent agenda? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. I'm going to change our agenda here just a little bit. Commissioner Harvey has told me a number of you gentlemen are here to make public comment. That's normally at the end of the meeting. Certainly as a courtesy, would ask if you want to do that now, or you're certainly welcome to stay the whole meeting. But when people have something on their mind and they come, our general role of the court is to try to let you get that off your mind. The rules are 5 minutes for a speaker, 10 minutes if everybody's going to talk about the same thing. I'd rather have just 2 speakers or share that time. We cannot comment on what you're saying because it's not a posted item on the agenda. So it's not we're trying to be rude or anything. That's just, we'd rather not be in the jail. For violating the Open Meetings Act. And our counsel's right here to witness that we did that. So at any rate, do you all have someone who wants to speak and do that, or y'all want to wait until the end of the meeting? And I can't tell you how long that's going to be. Whoever it is, if they would come forward and give their name and use the microphone, I'd appreciate that.
We'll go ahead then.
All right.
Turned on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We
Give your
came
name
here.
first, please.
My name is John Jones. I live northwest of Electra, officially west of Pumpkin Center. As everybody knows, we had the hostage, or not the hostage, but the manhunt going on this week. And we had some concerns about the way it was conducted and wanted to come here and voice those concerns so maybe they could be raised officially and maybe just for the purpose of getting some answers. We became aware that there was a manhunt that was being conducted, and then you get spotty information, even though it's affecting you, it's right in your neighborhood. And so it seemed like the manhunt was called off maybe a couple times, or at least didn't seem like it was effectively pursued. And then we had some questions. It's my understanding that helicopter was offered by the Highway Patrol with infrared, and then it wasn't utilized. So we want to know a little bit more about that, how it was managed, and voice our concern that maybe it could be done better another time. When I would also like to express that when there's somebody loose that's described as dangerous, and law enforcement pulls out and leaves without a presence in the area, and not actively trying to find the man if you know that he's there, it leaves you with options you don't like. For instance, my daughter was home by herself. She escaped with the help of a neighbor and went to motel for the night, stayed away all the next day, didn't know if she was going to be able to return to the house and feel safe, and wanted to see if there was a way that we can do a better job next time, making sure that when you have somebody in the area that they're effectively caught as quickly as possible, and so residents aren't having their homes broken into or living in fear. And I did talk with a couple of neighbors that didn't sleep any that night, also worrying. I wasn't present at the time. I was out of state for 2 days, but it was certainly an imposition on a number of people. So that's why I'm here this morning.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
And thanks for giving me a voice too. Appreciate
Yes, sir. That's, you know, anyone else want to speak to that issue?
I think you all know me. I'm Matthew McAllister. So it started off Thursday. I was out there assisting, and then the manhunt got called off. We were there all day, you know. They pulled out. The sheriff says he didn't. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not an all-out attack on the sheriff's department. It's the administration. There are some things that need to change. We like the deputies. There are good deputies there. This is not an attack on the sheriff's department. So don't get me wrong there. But they pulled out and they say, well, you know, we were still there. They were not still there. When the alarm call came in, guess who responded first? Electra PD. Electra PD had units on scene first, with a guy out there that we didn't know where he was. We hadn't located him. Why didn't we have units still out there? That's a big concern. So they come back for the alarm call on the house out here. And we spend a little while there, and we leave again in the early morning hours. That morning, the housekeeper finds a bed the man made and slept at the same house SWAT went to. Multiple calls were placed. The only law enforcement officer I know that laid eyes on that bed Friday was the constable for Precinct 4. He was out there assisting civilians, trying to see if we could locate this guy. Multiple calls were placed to the sheriff's department. We spend oodles and oodles of money on the sheriff's department, and we can't even seem to get adequate patrol in that part of the county. I mean, we just spent $50,000 for morale for this department, for the jail, and we can't even get adequate patrol out there. I understand Wichita Falls pays county taxes. Guess what? Pumpkin Center pays the same county taxes, don't we? We don't get adequate patrol. You know what we hear on the radio all the time, and I've had a discussion with the sheriff about this. He tells me what it means, but it still is not right. Log TED, we're a premise check. The Electra District, the City of Electra, Pumpkin Center, we are a premise check that they go through, log TED each shift. We should have routine patrol, not be a premise check.
I don't know what that means.
They do premise checks on certain, you know, they have premise checks and they have close patrols. TED stands for the Electra District, according to the sheriff. That's Electra and Pumpkin Center. They log a premise check each shift. Someone passes through it, logs TED. Biggest part of the time when we need them in Pumpkin Center, we have to wait for them to respond out of Wichita Falls.
Sheriff?
Does anybody else want to say anything before I get up there?
Matthew covered it.
Thank you. Sheriff Wood?
I really have to hold this because I'm really loud enough for everybody to hear me.
The people.
No, you need to.
All right, goes on record.
It's one.
First off, I want to appreciate talking to Mr. Jones. We had a good conversation, and McAllister's. We were up there, and it's unfortunately most people don't know how law enforcement works. I can tell you, with some staff in this room here, we've got over 75 years worth of manhunting in our lives. We're very effective at catching people and things behind the scene on how we look for people. Just to start off the whole thing, this thing started by the Electra Police Department, okay? By a car being at the country club, which is city-owned property of the City of Electra. For years, I've been here 36 years, the Letcher Police Department has gone out there to patrol the actual golf course. It's not an issue, it's city property. Wichita Falls used to go out and patrol Lake Airhead until the city of Wichita Falls cut that out. So it's basically the same concept, but however, deputies do patrol and log and go check the golf course as well. So with that said, the Letcher officer, Chief was out there with the car. The Letcher officer, his lieutenant, found the individual walking down the road. He stopped to identify and see who he is. One of our deputies showed up, Deputy J.T. Mitchell, and found a set of keys on the guy's pocket. Okay, see where we're going? J.T. goes back leaves the lieutenant from Electra at the scene on Highway 25 with the individual wearing cowboy boots and khaki shorts only. Our deputy goes to where the police chief is at the golf course. Finds out that the keys fit the car. Now, besides law enforcement in here, how many of y'all would think that there would be a connection between the guy in the cowboy boots and no shirt and khaki shorts with a set of car keys that fits a car and sitting at the country club? How many of y'all figure there may be a connection there? Anybody? Okay. Presumption of a crime has occurred at this point. This individual should have been detained. When I say detained, our agency, we detain somebody, we handcuff them and hold on to them. We figure out what's going on. At this point, J.T. Mitchell, our deputy, the chief of Electra, Mike Dozier, talks with Burke Burnett PD. They go by to find out where this car is at from the car lot. It's been stolen. Both sets of keys are missing. The bill's been broken into. The car's missing. We have the car at the country club, or I keep calling it the country club, the golf course. Well, the car's there. Suspect down the street in shorts and a pair of boots with keys in his pocket. This is a perfect case to be arrested right now for theft. Felony theft, possession of motor vehicle, whatever you want to put. There's so many different charges being covered. Deputy Mitchell was leaving to go back to the scene to detain him when the lieutenant is rolling up in his squad car at the golf course. Our deputy asked him, "Where's the guy?" And this is a quote that I was told. "I didn't have anything to hold him for, so I let him go. I couldn't detain him." Left him out there. Now, I'm going to tell you gentlemen right now, as a sheriff of this office, and these men and women that run and patrol y'all's area, it really upsets me that somebody in law enforcement just let this guy go. Now, is it our fault, or is it someone else's fault? I'm not here to point, I didn't start this to point blame anybody. I'm just telling you the cold fact of what exactly happened. So y'all, that's the facts that y'all don't know that you do need to know, as well as my commissioners, who sets our budget for the sheriff's office every year. So at this point, Electric Chief of Police and our deputies, they go back out trying to find the guy. This time it's on Old Lake Road. So he puts it, takes off running. That's where this whole manhunt started. A vast thicket of mesquite, y'all know the area, y'all been out there, we all know it. We can't go out there on foot because we have already contacted Already Prison to bring the bloodhounds. If anybody goes out there, whether it's civilian or if it's deputies or highway patrol, I've seen another city in this county had motorcycle officers contaminate one time a big manhunt. And the dogs go, when the dogs get there, they go looking for this guy's scent. They hit anybody else's scent, they just take off toward the other scent. That's why some people weren't allowed to go in there who want to go in there and help look for them. We can't allow that. For one thing, it's safety. The other thing is it contaminates the scene. It contaminates the area we search. As it is, it's a very lengthy time to search on horseback, as well as the dogs are out there going through this thicket. If you know the guy gets to the north somewhere, he beds down. By this time, the dogs are wore out. There's some issues with the dogs through the prison that's out of our control. Because I've seen it very effectively work. I've seen other times it doesn't work with canine dogs. So after, how long was it we were out there that day, first day, from initially? Till through second shift, I believe.
Yeah, second shift.
Prison brought out 2 sets of dogs.
Yeah.
So also the prison brought a second set of dogs. So at this point, the dogs are still working because we know he's in this one area somewhere. At this point, we had no one offer a helicopter. And for us to get DPS, is the only closest helicopter that's thermal imaging. I talked to you on the phone today, I told you we could have called them. They didn't offer nothing. DPS doesn't offer anything unless there are troopers involved. There's no state troopers involved other than holding perimeter. What I mean holding perimeter on our side of it is the deputies or troopers or people will sit in vehicles and they're watching roadway. Yes, sir.
There was a trooper right by my house, talked to me, and I don't remember the deputy's name, Jacobson, and said I can have a chopper here in 30 minutes.
What did he call?
He told Jacobson.
He's just a flat screen deputy. He doesn't have no authority to say, okay, yes or no.
He couldn't have told you?
He didn't. So I can't tell what happened with that.
So that's my fault?
No, sir. No, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you.
Who screwed up?
There's a miscommunication somewhere on that bottom level. Okay?
Because I was there and heard him. He said he could be here in 30 minutes.
Okay. That's, and if he's another trigger, then that's happening.
If you got just a minute, I'll tell you why the dogs didn't work. It was dry and it was hot.
Okay, well, these guys are prison dogs. I'm not going to second guess what they do with their dogs.
I'm just going to tell you that's why they don't work. It's hot and it's dry.
I've also seen them out there, it's hot and dry, and catching people that run from us on low charge.
Bird hunter, you know better than that.
There's a difference in a bird and a human being that's emitting all kinds of sweat and all the things that they do out there, especially when they're reeking of methamphetamine or whatever narcotics they're using. But I've seen dogs effectively in dry and hot. And I'm not going to argue whether the dog sniffs in that kind of weather or not. If y'all got an issue with that, maybe talk to the warden out there. The warden was out there, actually. And so, and there's some issues that goes on behind the scenes, not going into all the prison business for the dogs, but I'm not at liberty to talk about that, but the prison make it. Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is proper protocol, but shut me down for this.
No,
and I think you were just getting to what happened that evening, but the thing that troubled me initially was that everybody pulled out around 5 or so, and we knew the guy was still out there, hadn't gotten away. And that left us fearful throughout the night and the next day. If we'd just had a presence maintained there, we'd have felt better about going to sleep and being there. And knowing this guy was on the loose, could you speak to what was going on there as why everybody was pulled out?
When we pulled out finally, it's because of the fact that the dogs couldn't find anything. We don't know at that point whether he actually got through the perimeter line, because that can happen on large-scale areas of search like that. We had every deputy on day shift, including some administrative people that are certified out there watching it and watching areas to watch. We've seen it work effectively. We've seen people get through it before. There's not like a big net we can cast around them to make sure they don't get out of the thing. Sometimes these people have cell phones. They call their buddies or girlfriend or somebody to stop by down the road somewhere and pick them up. They'll get across the highway, go find somewhere. This happens quite frequently. We're about probably 60% for catching them and 40% not catching them because of the ability to get out with, obviously, with communication. That's the best thing for them to do. So legally we left. Yes, sir.
Did your deputy find a cell phone on him when you found the keys?
No.
No.
That's the only question I had that time.
Well, I was still wondering why you pulled out, knowing he was still at large.
We don't know where he was. Neither the prison, at this point, we don't know whether he got out or not. So we had rolling patrols that still went through. Now, mind you, during this time this manhunt, we still had to send deputies to other fires in the county, threatening homes, and we had other calls that we had to deal with. And we're stretched as it is. As well as this has been talked about from this court, about we need to get rid of patrol, or we don't have to have patrol. Y'all are a shining example of why we have to have patrol. We need more deputies to cover the things we do. No doubt about that. But this particular day, these guys, once we leave these areas, and we know from our experience, what we do, and I really don't want to talk about this publicly, but I'm going to, is when the marked units leave, that's what bad guys see, the marked units. They don't see the unmarked units go through there. Well, we send some through there. We send unmarked people not in uniforms. The guys, if you walked up your house, you pull a gun on because you think they were a burglar, I promise you. These guys roll through these areas as well. They're not stopping and creeping because what do you think the bad guy knows what's going on? They're looking for somebody. They're looking for me, and I didn't call them. So when the deputies, under the covers are going through there, they're driving like a normal guy going through, where they head down 240, loop back around and loop off Lake Road, and these type of areas. They're not going to drive up and sit in your driveway and park and wait. They don't do that because somebody's going to call them in. Yes, sir.
I got a question. You called me at home about 11:45 Thursday night, remember?
Right.
And you said anything blows up, call us. Call. Well, after they had placed calls to the sheriff SO about the bed incident framework, I called you about 9:30. No return call. Chief Dozier then is texting you. He screenshots me the messages, and you're asking where he got this picture of this bed, and he tells you, and you say, okay, I'm calling McAllister now. This was around noon, 1 o'clock. When did I talk to you? Right before we got him out of that house.
Probably
about 4:30.
But unfortunately, I can't be everywhere at one time. I can't be everywhere at one time, Matthew. Just like as a fire chief, you can't go out and stop every fire.
I understand that, but you were on the phone all day, so why didn't I?
You
get
don't have with other pending business that I have that I have to do with the sheriff. Now, if the county wants to hire me a couple of assistants to carry cell phones and notebooks and take care of stuff for me, I would love that. I don't have a freaking secretary to do paperwork filing for me. So that's how bare bones the budget is, and I promise you that. However, deputies were back out there, the work patrols going out there, and then the night where he was the manhunt, we got the burglar alarm over there at Halloween's house.
Right.
There's no doubt in our minds we tried to get in that house. No doubt in our minds, you got the window up, you got to set the alarm off, and we bolted back. I believe we went across the fire roof, went back to that field, where we ran back in that area, somewhere in the lower area over there by the ditch, or back to the place where we actually caught him at.
Right.
We already had, at that point, when we got there, we had deputies set up down there at that other house to the east. How far is it, you think, from house to that other house? I figure 800 yards.
1,000 feet, maybe, or something like that.
1,000 feet? I think.
Well, anyway, it's
1,000 feet.
easy
1,000
walking
feet.
distance.
That is good easy walking distance, but it's still a good clip over there. Wide open. And there's plenty of people, because we know that some of your people, the people in that area were over there inside the road watching. But there were deputies that were sitting down there. They never saw him come to that house at that point. So the whole time we were at Halloween's house, because of the firearms that we knew that was in the house, we brought our heavy armor over there for obvious reasons in front. Those y'all who saw what we did over there, which I don't think y'all were. The SWAT guys come into the back, went to the same window to come in, so if he's in the house, if he was going to run out, we're going to flush him back to the front. Does that make sense? That way the guys in front, where the armor is, and all the heavy lighting, pretty easy to see. But then again, if he had got a firearm in there, we wanted to make sure that all the deputies were protected, and no civilians were up there. We want to make sure that we can take care of him or neutralize him if we need to. He wasn't in there. The area where the little makeshift bed was at, we had deputies walk in there. I stood there and watched the deputies walk in there. There was nothing in the floor. So that told me after we cleared the house, he come out of the brush, the hole in the ground he was hiding in like a rabbit, went back over there and slept there for the night, most likely. He left that morning. So at that point, you still don't know where they're at. And at nighttime, we don't know this in the country. It's darker than inside of a cow. We have very limited FLIR units. We did bring some FLIR units out there and searched the bar ditches, but we didn't go off-road as far in that thicket. We can't do that with the vehicles we have. We don't have drones to be able to do that. Not yet. We're waiting for a piece of equipment. I think we ordered something to do that with our drone. But the guys that were still out there, that's why we told y'all, if something happens, y'all be sure to let us know. Because patrol has other things they still got to do as well. And just a side note, Matthew, when you hear guys working traffic, and we're so far, we're looking for drunks, dope, and felons. That's the three things. We're not writing speed tickets on Kell Freeway. We're not looking parking lot tickets at Walmart. We're not doing that crap. We're hunting people for a reason.
I know you are.
Okay, but when you hear that, you don't hear the individuals that are in the patrolling in the county area. Most likely by the time, like right now, Sergeant Burdick, when he sends a couple deputies, 2 or 3 in a couple areas of their work, they're out in the country, they're out in the area, the rural area, and they're doing their property checks. I'm going to touch on property checks real quick. Everywhere in this county, with its businesses, all over the county, and housing additions, housing areas, or areas where people live, like KMA, Pumpkin Center, we have what's called, they're called checks. In other words, I'll just use Mahler Farm. If we have that on there, and today it may be identified as special check 3, or just check 3. That's going to change number next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And our guys got a little grid they use. It's kind of like with the, anybody familiar with World War II history, with the Nazis and the submarine, it had the enigma know where everybody was at. Basically what we've done. In the Electra area, the Electra district is from the city of Electra, to our deputies go through town over there. They do stop traffic over there, all the way back at the Pumpkin Center. And there's not like besides Ralph Station up there, so all that's checked at one time. Whereas if you're on Seymour Highway, there's so many businesses. We used to just have a check on the fire station that came in wide. Now we got the whole area is its own code that the deputies been through there. That not only tells you it's logged by dispatch that our deputies were there at that time, checking buildings, drive-through spotlighting, but it also tells all the other deputies that are working and supervisors where that deputy's at. If you get a deputy that's real quiet, where's he at? What's he doing? Then the supervisor will find out, make sure he's doing his job. So that's what the special checks or the area checks are for. So don't think that people drive through there and you just don't ever hear it, because they'll log the checks from that side of the county.
Got one more quick
Yes, sir.
question for you. Who reported to the news that he could possibly be armed with guns and bombs?
I don't know about bombs, but I told him he could possibly be armed because he is in his criminal history.
That's what it said on the news.
I didn't hear about bombs. That's it. We don't talk about bombs.
Well, somebody did.
They quoted you saying it.
What's that?
It's on the recording, you saying it.
I didn't say he had bombs.
That's the news said.
I'm telling you, you might want to get with the news, because that's what they put in the news story. David?
That's what got.
I never my career told me somebody was bombed.
And my wife said, you also said you wasn't gonna leave the territory till he was caught.
We did. We didn't.
Yes,
We
you
didn't.
did.
No, we didn't. No, do you know everybody drives every vehicle into that area in your neighborhood?
Yeah,
I bet you don't.
I do.
I bet you don't. How many Tahoes, not Tahoes, the little, what's the Chevrolet that Tottenham drives? What's the thing called? Trailblazer. How many Trailblazers see you go through there?
Me?
Yeah.
7 a day. A maroon one, a gray one, 2 tan ones, and there's a one that's like a multicolor because it's been wrecked.
At nighttime, how you seeing that?
When you're sitting on 240, David,
When you're sitting, I saw where y'all sit down there.
you telling me I can't see a car?
Right there. What about at 2 o'clock in the morning where we at?
David, you know how many times I'm out by hay in the middle of the night and I see cars and I call the sheriff department because I recognize they're up to no good?
I know that.
You know it.
I know it.
So if I seen a vehicle come down there, I'm gonna know who's not there.
And your guys,
One at a time, please.
Your guys is a shining example of community involvement on reporting things. See, we can't be everywhere.
You're correct, but let me tell you, Friday, all day long, broad daylight, 7 of us surrounded that thing and stayed on top of it. And we know the vehicles, and you know the vehicles, don't get me wrong. We never seen a strange vehicle in the area.
What's a strange vehicle definition to you?
Anything that's not one of my neighbors running down the road.
How many people run down 240? Go back to 87.
And you know how many people we know every day that run them down 240? There wasn't a strange vehicle up there.
But you can't check every, you don't have a toll gate over there. You're not checking every car that goes through there. You don't have license plate readers. So I'm telling you guys, we're not everywhere either, just like y'all are. So I don't want to argue or fight with you, Kenneth. It's just factual. It is. Things happen. We don't have the personnel and the manpower to stretch and cover every freaking thing in the world. You know, we try to. We had third shift out there all night long as well. Where was the highway patrol? What happened to those guys? They go home. Yes, sir.
Kenneth?
And if it was you in your back door, it would have never quit.
If it was my back door,
Yes, sir.
I guarantee you it wouldn't. Because it never quit. We didn't officially say we're not going to patrol here, we're not going to look for anybody. That's why we have people on the cover that go out and do these things. That's why we're out there, patrol guys are still doing things. Because believe it or not, and I've told some couple of y'all this, we have had in the unmarked vehicles, the guy, once we pull up marked units out, the guy comes out looking for a ride, he'll flag down somebody. It's happened more than one time. Flags down, guess what? It's a deputy. Bam, catch him, yes, sir.
When I talked to you, I was telling you we're bringing a helicopter in, we had about 25 or 30 around there, and I asked you for 2 deputies, you said you'd send them out.
So they were away. They weren't away.
But they weren't there at the time, and you were telling me you thought he was back in Burke because you had information.
The only patient was back in Burke there.
And I was thinking about it later after the fact. He obviously was right there, actually pretty close to my house at the time. And I'm glad you got him. I'm thrilled. I told you that. It was a relief I can't express here. It just washes all over you when you know you got him. So you can go back to living your life. But during that time, that afternoon, which was around 5, when we were talking, right in there, I didn't feel like we had active manhunt going on then, or presence there for protection. And I talked to Chief Dozier, and he said he could not send anybody out because he caught heat from somebody. I don't know. But so anyway, we felt quite unprotected during that time, and the guy was actually still there. And so that's what I was talking to earlier. I wanted to raise my concerns, so maybe it will be handled differently next time, but have everybody understand that we felt left out on the edge during that time when, and not knowing where he is, and I understand you didn't know, but if you think he's at Burke, then the thought was going through my head too, well, isn't somebody over there looking for him?
Burke Police Department's over there.
Okay, well, not having been cited, which I did ask you if you'd been cited, and you said no.
No.
I felt like, from my perspective, I had pretty good incentive you know, to be concerned, that we should have had more active involvement during the daylight hours, actively looking until we know where he really is.
Right.
So I want to stress, I feel like there was a time, 2 different times when the deputies were pulled out and he was left. And I do know when you cleared the house, I'm sure he was just over there watching when the lights came, when the lights left, you know. He strolled over, made him a little bed, took his nap, and he felt comfortable to do that. And had we continued with more effective patrol around there, I don't think he'd have been quite so comfortable just to do all that.
Well, you got to understand the mindset of a fugitive. When it's dark outside and you're in a pasture and you're trying to make your way somewhere, you see any vehicle coming, they're going to hide. And y'all know drive down, even bright lights on, even all the lights we got on all our vehicles, and I've seen some of your guys got monster truck lights on them. You can't see off the side of the road. When you're doing 50 or 60 or 45, you're looking ahead, you're looking for the hall or the deer, make sure the duck's not going to hit you. If you're looking out the window, if you're trying to slow down, and you have your nose down the other side, you just can't see people. As easy as it may sound, in daytime you can, if you got red shorts on like you come out of the house on, which is not khaki shorts.
You guys pulled out the first day around 5 o'clock. We had several hours of daylight left. The other thing I wanted to know, did you know that, were you aware
Can I address that real quick?
Highway Patrol helicopter would be available if you needed it?
No, I did not know that. We discussed that just a minute ago. And I do know this with my prior experience with DPS and manhunts. If we know the guy has actually a firearm, or we do know he's there for an aggravated assault on a person, or he shot somebody with murder, we can get the helicopter from Lubbock, that's where it's come from, launched here. You know, we've done this before. We had a couple of dopers back then, this is years ago, about 2010. They had a lab in the car, they ran from 2 deputies, off in the oil pasture over there in the Valley View area, bailed out. Both of them had firearms in their hand when they bailed out in the car into the thicket. We knew they were armed. And we had set the perimeter. We were there for about 12 hours. And I think we caught one that first night. The second one we got away. And we ended up catching him about 3 days later. And it wasn't out in that area. He was in a dope house in Wichita Falls. And we had to use that. We work off informants. Just like the informants let us know that he's back in Burke. Well, with dealing with people in the drug world as informants, you got to take it with a grain of salt, 50-50, whether it's real or not. Any law enforcement person can tell you that. It's not 100% always accurate. So when we get that information, we pass it on, or we get sent to someone to look at, we can't find it, it's not there. In this particular case, we had someone from the drug world that gave a tip about where he's probably at. Now, one of the other things I need to address is we just can't go through the house over there and kicking doors open because we think someone's in the house, especially if it's not his house. In order for us to go arrest, if we're going to go arrest Willie Wall for some kind of felony, we have to go to where he lives at, where he's always lived at. Of course, Willie's lived the same place forever, so that's too much easy target. If his car's here, we know he's home. But these drug people, we have to have critical information that he stays there all the time, or he's established residency there. If the felony warrant, and any indication that we do know he's there, we can kick the door without a search warrant. In this particular case, we'd have to get a search warrant to look in that house. We have nothing to tie him there, other than the statement that he told, I think, was it the election officer or one of our deputies, that he was trying to get to this guy's house. I don't want to use his last name because he's not involved in this at this point. But he just said that initially, before he was let go, he was trying to get over to his buddy's house. Well, that's not probable cause just because he's still trying to get into his house. There's no affirmative link there, like a vehicle or somebody knows he's in the house, for a judge to actually sign the search warrant for us to go over and kick that door down and go look for him. In this case, we've got a person who said this information to us, and I'm not going to tell you because it's confidential, obviously, that led us, he's probably there. Matthew had found a person that had a key to the door, which I understood had a better key, because he got over there. And when we talked, the guys were already on the way over there. And then they said the other guys, more people arguing about over there. So it all worked out the way we wanted it to. He was there, which is a surprise. And he was in the shower, so it makes it even better. It's kind of easier to look for weapons when they're in the shower.
He was in the shower?
Yeah. Yeah. However,
I've been under the bed or something.
that doesn't, well, we'd have found him anyway, we'd have searched him, But the thing about it is, we can't, even if he's in, just for him, we got his body. We're in a house that we have no other reason to be there searching. We can't go looking for, if say he had a gun, and and dropped it and hid it somewhere, we still can't look for it without a search warrant for that piece of equipment. And we just can't go in and search for dope, we can't do that kind of stuff. But we see something open, wide out open, we get a search warrant at that point, but there was nothing like that there. And so we can't get a search warrant to find any other crimes that may be involved with. But as far as well, we got DPS helicopter involved. Once again, in my history, in my career, the criteria that generally they use, they wouldn't fly out here this weekend. Wouldn't fly out here for that. And once again, when we have used them with criteria that met, they got here, they got to stay out here for about an hour and a half, 2 hours max, and had to refill again and go back to level. And that's just because they couldn't find it. Even with the FLIR. We know what FLIRs are, we know night vision works, but some people, stuff is so thick they get bedded down, and even the FLIRs in the air can't pick them up. It's once again 50-50 like the dollars. We use all the assets that we have available to be able to locate somebody. And some of those fields out there are wide open. You can hit bricks with good FLIRs, you can see all the way the flagrant almost. So we could see he wasn't there. The guy's a well-experienced criminal. He's well-experienced in evading and doing other crimes. More things than everybody knows he's ever committed. But some of these guys are just, they're designed to be the cat and mouse.
Is he still in custody?
I don't know if he is or not. I would assume he is.
I think he's got a $12,000 bond, so I'm pretty sure he is.
And that's, I never saw about the bonds. That's not, bonds is not up to us.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody was saying.
I was just going, don't we have a drone deal?
We did. We took it out there that daytime.
Okay.
But it's mesquite here.
Does it have the infrared deal?
Not yet. We're trying to get one of those off a grant.
Camera's $10,000 for a drone if you get a FLIR on it.
Yeah. So we're trying to get one off a grant right now, a FLIR. I'd like to say some other things to y'all after this meeting, if I can. Just to let y'all know some other things I don't want to talk about in the media, so because I'm a bad guy in the world, and everybody sitting in our jailhouse who gets to watch us on news tonight don't know exactly what I want to tell y'all, but that they don't need to know. I do appreciate we call it the militia that was out there that night. Once again, you have the right to protect your property and your homes and your family. And everybody was armed. If it was that big concern to us, I would come over and say, hey guys, y'all put your guns up. It's just factual. You can do that. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you'd have had a tough time getting me put mine up. I live right there. I got a wife and 3 girls on 10.
You didn't hear what I said. You have the right to take your family.
I'm just telling you.
Now, I would be the last damn sheriff in the state of Texas to try to take a firearm from somebody else as a felon. I promise you that. Okay?
I wasn't.
Because if crack went to hell in a handbasket out there, there's no doubt.
You can ask third shift. I talked to them.
I know. I know. I'm surprised y'all aren't scrapping a pistol at Rob Bell there by the property because you can. Because you can. But no, I'm for that. Okay, don't want anybody think that I'm trying to take someone's gun away from them. That's not happening. If Washington D.C. itself was sent out on the Sheriff of America, take the guns away. It's not happening in the country. I promise you, it's not happening in Texas anyway. So that's a little sidebar there if anybody has any idea about my idea with gun control. The gun control is the people that own the firearms legally are supposed to be protecting themselves. That's the best gun control. I don't go through history, but ask the British what happened. We took their guns from them gun control. Look how well it's working in Chicago. It's not. So, but anyway, I appreciate you guys all looking. You're more eyes and ears out there. And obviously the concerns that, like Mr. Jones, you're with your daughter and all your families, we have the same concerns. But it's just like where I live. If I have somebody doing something on my property, when I get to call 911, my wife does, I'm already going to take care of business. And guess what? I'll be justified to do it. Because anytime you fear for your life, or you fear for your family, you have the right to defend yourself. Okay? Amen. That should be an education right there, what I'm trying to tell you. You have the right to defend yourself. Yes, sir.
Well, I asked the question a couple times. Just to be clear, you pulled out a couple times because you're spread too thin.
Yes, sir.
And you had to have your deputies, all of them somewhere
At
else.
one point, we actually had to call third shift in early, which causes overtime. And trust me, y'all gonna see some heat going, some heat from the fire coming in. We got to call for overtime all the time with these guys in court. And so I think we justify what we have to have it. And the court jail doesn't jump our butts about it, but it's still overtime. It costs the county money to do that.
Well, for whatever it's worth to all ears concerned, it leaves us feeling very vulnerable when we've got a loose man that nobody knows where he is and all law enforcement leaves. And especially, it troubled me greatly when it left at 5 during the daylight, because we had several hours yet of daylight. Thankfully, the neighbors didn't leave. I had a whole bunch of people all around my place with guns during that time, well after dark. So I want everybody to know that was my big concern when I came today. I felt like we were left unprotected during a time when it was critical to be protected.
And there were some people out there, some of y'all didn't see them, obviously, but there's, it wasn't just leave them alone, we'll go back over here. And I showed you our guys went out looking on those shifts, went out looking for drunk drivers or other felons. Although there's plenty of, most of our felons, the people who want to leave the city of Wichita Falls, to live in the east side of the county. And so that's why we have to work them over there. And we're not going over that and look for the guy that's got a warrant for some kind of fine or something like that. You know, we like to get the county fine money back, but we're after the felons, the hardcore guys that'll shoot you, hurt you, rob you, steal your stuff, or rape your children, and kill you, the bad guys. That's who we hunt. And if it's up to me, I'd have 10 deputies assigned to nothing but fugitive apprehension all day long. Can't do that because we have the entire county to spread patrols around. And that's what I would say, yeah, is we do need more patrol.
How many more deputies do you think you would have, how many do you think you were short in that situation?
At least 5. At least 5 more. You know, we only have so many in patrol. We only have 4 investigations. And then, and they were out there. They were called out as well. Well, actually, I saw back up 2 of them out of town. But then we have SWAT. We have 2 squads of our, so we have 20 people on our SWAT team. We don't use all 20 in every incident because of this one here at the house, I called out for 2 squads in armor and all of our toys just in case we get into a situation over there.
Was there same concern at the other house?
Yes.
I thought he was in there.
Yes. However, because of the situation, we got the information he's there. We wanted to strike then, right then. And how many deputies were out there that night?
I think 5 or 6.
On second shift?
Yeah, they were out there.
Mitchell and Bill Real and Burdick got him, and then the other ones come out.
Yeah, we're talking today.
Oh, I thought you meant when you got him Friday evening.
Yeah, Friday evening we got caught.
There's 3 of us going out there.
I know there's a couple of them still en route.
There's 2 SWAT guys, me and I had a couple guys en route, but it's one of those things where we had to get in there and get quick. We had to get in there real quick. Didn't want a lot of information getting out. It's time sensitive. He finds out he's going to get out of there.
And we went back in the field and watched the back in case he tried to get out, somewhere.
And we appreciate that.
I just want on the record again, this is not an attack on the sheriff's department. We're just the lucky community members that got commissioned with coming to get some information.
I'm going to say this, though, Matt. You said it's on the administration. I'm the administration. I want to have X number of people that we can do this with, and we try our best every single day to protect everybody. In this case, nobody's house got broke into, nobody got kidnapped, nobody got held hostage.
But they got it.
There's all kinds of buttons. There is a lot of what ifs that go on. Trust me, we want it. I get what ifs from these guys, and we want if these guys. There's a lot of what ifs in this world. But the fact is, we do 1,000% every day to make sure we do with what we have. For one, I appreciate this so much that y'all are actually expressing some feelings about more patrol, because it's always a topic of interest for you in their budget season with these guys up here. I wished I had about 5 more patrol deputies to spread them on the shift, make it easier. But it's not going to happen, I don't think. And these guys are going to ask you. When I come to court, we fight, we argue, and it gets heated, and there's things that are said that sometimes we can't take back, sometimes we have to make up for it. But I have to work with these guys, and I think we do have a good working relationship. But sometimes it's just a flat no, and that's where the buck stops. The buck stops at these guys' desk. This guy's counter, not at my desk. I would love to have more people. I would love to have 2 stations on the west side of the county all day long. If we actually have a county broke down in 3 different districts, where we have big events going on, we can set them out there for things like 4th of July. 4th of July is our biggest overtime in hotter than hell. We all know how hot or hell affects everybody. It's busy, and so but we have to go out there to block the roads and everything. Otherwise, you'll have I'm not saying in the McCoskey family pull a tractor and a huge plow behind them like the east side of county does, but we see it happen, and there's nothing illegal about what you're doing either. So, but
y'all have anything else that y'all may want to ask? Because I apologize that y'all feel like you were left, but you weren't. I know you weren't. These guys know you weren't. Drive around with red lights on, just look at somebody, the guy's not going to pop up. We've done this stuff for years. We know how to catch guys.
He's not gonna run out in front of your headlights either on the road.
No, but they will walk out there and see a little pickup down there, wave guy, they want to ride to the truck stop. I promise you that's happened before. We've come that way. Or inside an Explorer, old Explorer, I've done that personally. Got guys, and we love it. Sure, get on in here. And they look at 45. Works out great. You know? My biggest one I had out there was if one of y'all would actually would have found him and shot at him while he's running. Now, I don't think y'all have done that, but if you're in fear of something, you would have.
I'd be sitting behind bars right now, David, because I would have killed him.
Depends on just what you.
If he was coming at you.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I got 3 granddaughters, a daughter-in-law, and I've got some really close family and friends that's got little children. And
Tim, I agree with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. When I go home at night, I'm not the sheriff. I'm the property owner of his family, just like all these guys are too. Sure, I'm law enforcement, you only do 24 hours a day, but I have rights as a citizen, just like you do, to defend your property and your family. And I'll do it in a split second. I'll do it. And I encourage everybody who's part of listening, especially living in the country, make sure you have firearms and take care of your business if you have to. It's just simple. Because when the burglars know that you'll shoot at them or that you're going to have a drop on them, they won't go to your house. And things happen like that. We have a business on Airport Drive. Won't mention the name of him, but he shot 3 people stealing from him, killed 2 of them. He put a sign on his front gate. Shot 3, 2 dead, are you next? He didn't have any more problems. Pretty effective. Pretty effective. He never got to do what he did. He was killed by the graveyard 2 times. Actually 3 times. So, one of the big things is guys, is we want to still continue working with all y'all. We want your input with things. I appreciate it. And I know 3 of y'all probably don't have my phone number. You call me, we'll have a meet somewhere. We'll go over there and eat taco or breathe on at the Austin, wherever we want to. We'll sit outside the Ralph's and make the coat. We definitely want to hear it. I don't want y'all being mad at everybody because you don't see us every day up there or something going on. Or because there's other activity going on in the city. Because it does happen. We are after felons and drugs. Some drivers kill people. They've killed people in Pumpkin Center coming from Wichita Falls. They've killed them all over the place. I've worked them for years. I've been there. I've seen them. They've been hit several times myself. Some of these other deputies have been had their lives killed by drug drivers running over one truck, stopping another drug. It happens. It happens quite a bit. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, any comments on media coverage?
On media coverage?
On what's all that?
Well, the media obviously is a tool that we use to help let people know there's a problem in this area. And it did exactly what we wanted to do. People started looking, more aware. We got several calls out there. They heard the dogs barking or something unusual. We got some broken windows that people saw and deputies took right checked it and it didn't turn out to be anything. But we want that to happen. We want that to happen. I was talking about bombs. That's
just what it said.
Yeah.
I'll Google it outside and you can read it.
I've never, other than talking to DOD at Lawton, we do have bombs, pipe bombs, maybe. We have found those things. So we do deal with bombs. Anybody else have any questions? Court, got anything to ask for me at this event?
We can.
What's that?
We can't.
Oh, sorry. Nancy, you want to?
Sheriff, I want to say I appreciate you coming and speaking and deal with this directory. Gentlemen, I appreciate you all coming. You're certainly welcome to stay for this rest of this meeting, but it's not going to get any better than what you've had, that exchange right there, but we always welcome citizens here to realize what you all did is what so many people don't. They'll sit in the coffee shop instead of coming and asking or write a letter to the editor. What you did today is the way our government should work. The sheriff stood up, answered you. He did the best I think he could do, and he has been at this a long time. And we try to find it.
And we do no holler and cuss at each other. Some people.
I was kind of disappointed.
We're using that every once in a while.
You guys don't leave, I hadn't done my report yet.
That's where the hollering comes
I just want to be strictly bored the rest of the day, stay for the rest of the meeting.
Okay, I ask that we move item 2 down, and Constable, I'm glad you're here, appreciate you coming, and appreciate you jumping in the other night to help with people out there. If you take that microphone, you may sit down, please, but go ahead and take that microphone. And we're not going to be long with this. Okay, on this item, you have asked because of your travel, we did a guesstimated amount of travel money in your budget. That was $1,850, and you've exceeded that, and you're asking for another $2,308, I believe is, yeah, which would give you a total of $42,1620 for the whole year.
Last year, during our budget session, I originally budgeted $1,000. But you said they wasn't going to be enough, and you bumped it up to $3,000. But it never showed in my budget that it was bumped up to $3,000. Do you remember that?
I do, and I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but that isn't the only mistake we made.
If that's the case, this Pepper, I'm over 2,000.
You're over 2,000?
2,000. So if that's actually a little over that, but if that money would have got in there, that would only be the $38 budget, but still, yeah, it's not enough to cover what it is, but we still need to move that transfer of money.
But the other thing I'd have to ask you to do is look at where all you're driving. Because one of the things you put on your mileage report is that you're patrolling for the time you leave your house and go, and that's...
I'll explain what I do. I charge from the time I leave my house to my office. If I go over there and have no papers to serve, don't do anything else, my mileage ends there for the day. If I drive over there and I serve papers, or if I have court, then I charge from my office back to my house. If I go back to my house, if I go somewhere else to do personal business, then I don't charge.
See, normally, those of us, when I drive to the courthouse or anywhere else, that first point at work is not generally chargeable. And
when I turned my first deal in, I turned in a handwritten one. Ms. Stevens contacted me and said, this is not right, I will accept it this time, but you need to get with Ann. I went to Ann. She told me this is how Mark does his, this is how I need to do mine. So he charges from the time he leaves his house to the courthouse or to his office, so that's what I do.
Well,
so that's where that comes from.
Well, I'm just simply saying, and the court will have to take action today, but you know, we budget things, we try to stay in that. I realize there are some things that can happen that change that. But at some point, and then for next year, you've accepted an auto allowance that you do not have to track mileage.
Yes, sir.
Now, that is 4,000 on or 3,000 on? 4. So that's based on looking at where you're headed. That's what I tried to look at with each of you all, and to get us out of that deal of you having to keep that incredible mileage sheet. But on the other hand, there needs to be some fairness back the other way. That's all I'm asking. So what I'd like for you to do is to make sure we stay in that amount that, you know, we've allocated.
Okay.
So would the motion be, Judge, just to move the balance of $3,000?
No.
2308. 2308. I'm just talking about if we did it, in all fairness, if we put the $2,000 more over there that he was shorted, it would bring his grand total to $3,000.
No. If you add the $2,308, it will then make him a total of...
That's not what I'm
Let me, Judge, let me add on this. The 2308 was just a projection.
Correct.
Based on what we think he's going to spend for the rest of the year, based on what he's spent so far. It wasn't, I didn't look at these numbers this morning, so I can't remember. It wasn't quite, he's not quite over 2,000. but that was just a projection.
Well, you all sent me a memo that added up to, in the claims so far, $1,908.20, but he was over $58 that hadn't been put on that printout that was an additional claim, and made the estimated number to come to $2,308, which is what I'd asked the court to do, is to allow the auditor to take that from existing budget, which that part's good. Yes. So it would be to transfer $2,308 from other line items as it's stated there within that budget.
Well, I'm good with that. It's coming out of his own budget.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Any other comments or questions by anyone in the audience on that? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey, a second by Commissioner Mauler to approve the item as requested. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Constable, thank you very much for coming. So, 4, yes, 4. We only got 4 of us here. Wonder why he hasn't said anything today. Something I can now talk about, a little related to that item. If you all, I'd love for the sheriff to have more deputies. Everybody here would. And several meetings ago, there was a comment made, because it came up at one of our conferences. The sheriff has certain primary duties. Patrol is certainly one of those. But when we start looking at resources, this year we're adding 5 more jailers to try to help out on overtime. We watch this close, because every time we add money, there's some point your taxes are going to go up. And years ago, I did a study of the amount of money that's received from rural taxation is about 9% of our budget. The amount of money we spend on rural coverage, and part of that was loaded by putting all of patrol costs in the rural areas. The sheriff patrols Wichita County. That includes Wichita Falls, Burke-Marette, and I'm glad they do that. When they see something go wrong, they don't drive by it and say, that's not my concern, that's the PD's. Law enforcement within this county is the sheriff's responsibility, anywhere in that. We try to watch the numbers on that cost. We ask him to do things, to change shifts, to do things to get people's overtime off of that payroll. It's a tough balance. I often have talked when I was commissioner that we need more patrol work in the daytime because everybody's gone to work. I grew up part of my life in rural Archer County. There was no one home often in the day. That's when our house was vulnerable. Night we were home and we had our own guns. So it's a tough job any way you go at it. But the other thing we try to make everybody conscious. You right now on tax rate are sitting at 66 cents. The maximum counties can go to that's in the Constitution is 80 cents. That's going to be true unless we get a $10 billion business moves in here and change the tax value of this county. We're going to hit that 80 cents just by inflation, no matter how we do and keep cutting and all. It's a tough balancing act. And at some point, services, whether it's patrol, tax assessor standing back there, he rearranged hours at the outlying tax stations to reduce 4 personnel in his. Patty Flores dropped 2 people. County clerk dropped 2 people. We had 15 positions online to go away from our ranks last year, trying to slow down that train that's headed for that wall. That's what we're doing. You're going to see there was a thing passed in 1954 on the state optional road and bridge tax. And we're going to utilize that to fund road and bridge. One of the big goals, and you may not be for it, but we need to see it help out the rural fire department costs, is the county sales tax in the rural areas. That 2 cents in the rural areas provide $1 million worth of income. And that could relieve tax money that goes to volunteer fire departments It could relieve some of the taxes that go to operate road and bridge. Neat thing about that tax is paid by a lot of others than Wichita County people. Enough on my soapbox there, but it's a interesting balancing act to do that. Okay, next item on the agenda is review and approve the regular bills for payment.
Make a motion, we pay our bills, Judge.
Second.
Okay. Any questions on the bills? There's a stack of them about that high if you want to look through them. We do that every time. And we have. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Got it right that time.
You did good.
Okay. Item 2 is discuss and consider and/or take action on the commercial vehicle unit equipment proposal and consider the purchase of 2 sets of weight and measure scales at a cost not to exceed $48,000. Sheriff, okay. Lieutenant? Yes, I changed, the request came up at 3, but I thought we had agreed on 2 because we exceeded the $50,000 and that would add to the process another month.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay.
Does everybody have the paperwork on this, or do they need anything?
We have whatever was submitted in our packets.
Okay. What I'd like to do then is, this is just color pictures, a little better, of this, with some information with regard to the cargo boxes.
Oh.
Just so it's a little easier to see. And then, Judge, the same information that, this is information that you already have, but put a little bit together there. Commissioner, I'm Lieutenant Greg Wilson with the Sheriff's Office, and what we're obviously here today. This will not be nearly as exciting as what's gone on already. Looking at the purchase of 2 sets and the appropriate accessories for commercial motor vehicle enforcement. Currently, we have 3 deputies, myself and the 2 gentlemen in the back, Sergeant Ralph Burdick and Corporal Jeff Lee. We've all been certified through DPS and recertified, as a matter of fact, well over a year in commercial vehicle enforcement. One of the big issues that we see here in Wichita County, we're at the confluence of 5 highways. That's something that that we're starting to see as far as nationwide information, traffic that's going on. When you look at that, I handed you that small bit of the fine schedule. Now that fine schedule are the fines that you have approved in the past. What I wanted you to see is on that second page that shows that United States map. You can see where the heavy traffic is, and obviously that is on the interstate highway. As you look, you can see that Highway 287 there, that coming up from Dallas-Fort Worth, that's a heavy dark line. In other words, we don't quite make the volume of a interstate highway, 35, 45, so forth, but we're still considered a heavy volume highway. Now, the issue that we have, if you'll look at the third page, what that represents by color are the number of commercial motor vehicle inspections that have been performed and reported to the Motor Carrier Bureau at the DPS. You can look just by the color of the yellow on there, you can pretty well identify the interstate highways. But if you look there at Wichita County, if you can find us there, you'll see that we fall between 501 and 1,000 inspections a year. Now, based on the commercial traffic that rolls through this county, that is a fraction. Because what is having to do for enforcement right now is DPS has 4 dedicated CV troopers, and there's only so much that they can do by themselves in this county. This opens up an opportunity for us, not as a separate unit, but as an enhancement to our patrol duties, because we do have that training that we can expand with additional tools some of the enforcement actions available to us. So what I'm proposing, specifically in this measure is a set of 4 scales. Okay, we have to have it. There's not a law or a rule that says you have to have 4, but practically, you have to have 4 to effectively weigh a vehicle. The configuration on the storage allows for storage at the scales, keep them safe. It also included a high security lock on the center drawer for weapon storage, and additional storage on top for regular patrol equipment as necessary. Okay. There's also on there, you'll see a picture of a cage. Because of the depth of the scales, specific scales that I am suggesting in this proposal, they are 38 inches deep. To fit in the back of the Tahoe, the cargo case itself is 40 inches deep. We're not able to use an aftermarket cage. This particular company builds a cage. It's a $300 investment on that cage, that back cage, so that it actually mounts to the case itself. The case actually mounts into the vehicle body itself. Without operation, Chevy has got 2 bolts already in the back that allows us to secure that box in there without having to modify it. But what that does is that allows us to be self-contained with the scales. Now, talking specifically about the scales, I've asked, there are several out there on the market. Specifically what I'm looking at are the Haney scales. It's a German-made scale, hydraulic, no electronics in it. We have the ability, number 1, to utilize the local DPS office for annual calibration without cost, because they have a press that we can use with Haney's, because that's what they use specifically. Talked with the scale tech at DPS in Austin. He says he doesn't know an exact, because he has 25 and 600 troops statewide. He estimates that he's put 2,000 to 3,000 of these scales out. Approximately 14 years ago is when they started using it. He's never had to retire one. I asked him specifically about the useful life of the scale itself. He's only had to replace one, and that's because a truck ran over the control head, not because of the scale itself. With that kind of track record, the ease of repair, the access of local help makes it a really good ideal buy. The whole idea behind this, as I said, is commercial traffic. Why do we want to do it? It's a safety issue, and it's a road issue. Okay, the safety issue, Texas leads the nation, and I don't have this information in there. I can get it if you have a question. Texas leads the nation in fatality accidents involving large trucks. The thing is, we don't have the most miles. California actually exceeds us by miles, but we beat California by 40% of the number of deaths from heavy load trucks. Those numbers, as we were talking before, those numbers are just going to go up because we don't have any other way. There's going to have to be more trucks on the road. Okay? So we have safety issues whenever we're out of permit, we're overweight, we're oversized. See the news article about Burnett Road in 287? An overhyped truck took out the power lines. Okay, well, ideally, we'd be able to do something about that. The second thing, road cost. You put one of these heavy trucks on your roads, you gentlemen understand. Okay? You start tearing up some of these road beds, and suddenly you have folks out here calling concerned because the roads aren't in good shape. But if we can do something that will help save money there. So those are our concerns, those are our solutions to resolve those concerns.
I'd like to ask some questions.
Absolutely.
The sheriff just stood up here and told us that we're shorthanded on patrol.
Yes, sir.
And you are standing there telling us that we can add this to your basket, enhance our patrol.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I understood this, Greg, was that we were going to build a weigh station.
Yes, sir.
And our off-duty officers were going to man that weigh station, not when they're on days off or whatever. That way it would not affect our patrol. That's the way I had understood that we were going to do that.
I apologize, I haven't been involved in those discussions.
But these are portable scales.
Yes, sir.
Do we need both?
Oh, absolutely, it would be great if we had both.
Well, I know it'd be great.
Well, no, let me qualify. Obviously, with the mobile scales, we have the availability to move. We
Sure,
have the
I get
availability
that.
to be in various places. The thing with the in-ground scales is that we're able to benefit every agency that might weigh. It's not just a Wichita County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
DPS, Motor Carrier Bureau, anybody who has the ability to weigh trucks would be able to utilize those. So and also that allows for combined operations, multi-agency operations.
Well, that's the avenue I thought we were headed down, was to build a weigh station between Wichita Falls and Old Park.
Well, this ideally would be, in just my opinion, a good stopgap measure. Because what you're looking at is you're looking at the opportunity to begin enforcement, begin taking some of the issues and going ahead and addressing them. And because we don't know, we haven't actually, I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we've set a date on looking at the in-ground station.
No, we have not set a date yet.
Well, this would be a good stopgap measure that would continue to perform for us once that in-ground scale was available to us.
Well, I think that the $48,000 is a substantial savings from building the weigh station.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I do understand that the research that's been done, that this will fund itself.
I believe.
Almost
I believe you will see
100% fund itself with no burden to the taxpayer.
That's correct.
So I'm all for that. It enhances our safety, and it doesn't cost our taxpayers any kind of stipend.
That's correct.
My concern is that we're adding this to the already overloaded patrol.
What you're doing is you're enhancing my toolbox. Okay, this is not something that would be done in lieu of. It would be something that we would be able to do as we took care of our regular duties.
Sheriff, help me, didn't we talk about the weigh station being manned by some guys like Blackerby and stuff that were gonna be off duty or something? It wasn't gonna take away from patrol, was it?
That wasn't my conversation with those. We discussed about with utilizing some SO personnel. We was on 287 to have a deputy there doing that part as well. Because we already have guys out there on the highway, one K-9 to assist with any kind of search that may be needed. The flip side of that is if they get the portable scales, they do it somewhere on Highway 240 or 258 or any other county roads we have, it's so much accessible. Once again, you have.
Are you limited to county road only?
No. 44. No, any roadway. Any of them.
The challenge with the off-duty deal, though, is there's only going to be certain deputies that are going to be trained and licensed to do it.
Right now, there's three.
Yeah.
That's correct. Right now, there are 3.
But it's not like you could take anybody from, your deputy pool and they could go do that. It's going to be limited.
The issue there is in order to maintain a standard across statewide for the enforcement of CBE, the legislature actually enacted a law that we have to follow DPS guidelines, policies, procedures as far as weight enforcement.
Commissioner,
we work closely.
I did ask the sheriff for exemption on cattle and wheat trucks, but he didn't guarantee that.
Well, our concern, our primary focus obviously is going to be in the commercial side because that's where we see the biggest exposure, both from a safety and a liability standpoint.
But the other thing, when they set up, or when you start using the weigh station, people will deviate. And so if they got the ability, when they notice that deviation, they can glue them.
Well, I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
But one thing, I apologize, Jerry.
Yeah. Sure.
We started this a couple years ago. We had an individual had a business in a county neighborhood that was tearing up the county road really bad. 369. That's where we started on this, so we can be able to utilize it against people like that or problems like that.
367.
No.
This guy lives off 369.
There's more than one of them.
No, it's the same guy in 2 different locations.
No.
That's very possible. There's also
that's right.
There's also Pecan Way and River Road area.
Correct.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
the sheet rock on Wellington.
One of the things that
The sheet rock on Wellington.
One of the things that came up too is back during the drought, we had a lot of water haulers that were really stretching the limits.
Absolutely.
And I remember having that conversation. I mean, there were some dangerous situations on some bridges and some county roads, and we talked about that, and you guys you didn't have the tools to go and
I'll give you an exact, if you'll indulge me. Received a telephone call from Lieutenant McFerrin. He had stopped and I believe some of you may have heard this, but if you'll, again, bear with me. He stopped a flatbed truck tractor semi that had a load of sheetrock. He asked me to come to his location. He was at Wellington Road and 367. He had observed this truck turn off Business 287 onto Wellington and drive south to 367 where he stopped him. Now, Wellington, that area is limited to 20 tons, or excuse me, 10 tons, 20,000 pounds.
20,000.
This was a load of sheetrock, okay? On the truck tractor semi, a full load of sheetrock, he's looking at minimum, okay, 70,000, maybe 75,000. Lieutenant McFerrin, me being a newly anointed CBE and officer, deputy, asked me what we could do about it. I told him nothing. Not one thing I can do. Well, why not? He's overweight. Yes, sir. I can't prove it. I don't have a scale. Well, he could have a weight ticket. Well, we don't have an MOU set up with anybody to take their weight.
But you could.
Well, there are opportunities. Yeah, there are opportunities out there. But the long and the short of it is, I couldn't do a thing to that guy. If you'll take these 3 pages and just flip over to that fine schedule, you'll see that if he's over 40,000 pounds gross weight, that's a $7,500 citation. The goal here is not to raise revenue. In the past, fine schedules have been designed where they were minimal, and there was no impetus on the drivers or the companies to actually comply with the law, because it was just costing them business. They take a $70, $80 fine, and they go on about their business. This falls in line with what the states are asking for and requiring. And again, what it does is it gives us something other than a criminal act that we can actually do some enforcement with.
Greg, one more question. This apparently does generate revenue because there are many violators.
There are five revenues associated.
In your opinion, could it generate enough revenue to sustain 3 deputies' salary and benefits?
Yes.
So,
now, and I say
would that not be an avenue to
I say that
increase?
hesitantly, I would like, I mean, we would have an opportunity to get it on the ground and get it.
No, I understand that.
Yes.
But Sheriff, would that not be an avenue to increase patrol by 3 units?
It would be if in the future, once you get enough data and show the.
That's what I'm saying. Once it shows that it would support the salaries and benefits for that, that would justify not being paid for by the taxpayer, but increasing your patrol by 3 units.
It could very well work that way. I also think we ought to put a toll on the front gate coming in the courthouse, we collect $1 a head, that'd work too. But
To answer your question directly, I believe it could be self-sufficient, yes.
I think it could be too.
Especially as you Mexican.
And I like this. I'm not knocking the way station. This is so portable and it's immediate.
Well, just to help you on the way station, a minimum of 75% of that's being paid for by a grant.
Well, I understand that.
Okay, so just put all that in perspective.
Yeah, I understand that.
And all of that ticket money has potential, at least going through the JP courts here, and a portion of that, depending on, and I don't know if you had a chance to look into the law on how some of...
We have not received a call back from motor carrier.
Yeah, because some of it gets divided up and it has to be put against the cost of the operation of the way station. Some of it goes into road and bridge because that's where the damage is being caused. So, you know, there's some restrictions on it. While it looks like it can have offsetting costs, you've got to follow the rules for the distribution of that money.
Well, and just for the record, the way station's already in place.
Yeah.
There's just no permanent scales or anything.
Yeah.
It's already there.
Yes. There's no physical plant that needs to be built per se.
We're just lacking the infrastructure that we talked about.
Yes, sir.
We need to,
Move along.
any other questions on this? Were you all ready to take action on this? Lieutenant, thank you very much.
Judge, I did get to talk with Robert Wilson about this and went over the plans, and he was agreed that we were moving in the right direction. I know we wanted to do that, and I finally did get to do that, so.
Okay, is that, you make the motion and the support as stated, up to $48,000
Yes.
paid from general fund contingency?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments, anyone in the audience? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0. Just in case, item number 8, which is discuss, consider, take action to phase out the grandfathered employee-dependent insurance benefits over 5 years. That item has been put off to next week. Commissioner Watts asked Commissioner Beecham, who sponsored that item, to do that when he's back here, so that item will not be discussed today. Okay, item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action to authorize the IT department to purchase remotely anywhere city license and 6 network console licenses for a total cost of $12,960 to be paid from 100.412.3151 computer software. Mr. Crutchfield.
Is this a number?
No, sir, this isn't a number. It's a walking stick. This is the upgrade of the software. We've had it remotely anywhere since, I think, 2006. They come out with a new version that integrates a whole lot better with the new Windows operating systems that are on the market. This is what we use, Commissioner Harvey, when you call down and need help with your computer and I get on there.
Yeah.
That's
I've used it quite frequently.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
This budgeted item, isn't it?
It's not budgeted per se. I've got enough funds to cover it. It's one of those things that we were hoping they would come out with, but we didn't specifically request it because it's their first update since 2006.
Oh, so there goes that $2,000 it saved earlier.
Sorry, sir.
And that was $8,000 that he saved earlier. Now you're pouring it on.
Well, and even though we do ride that budget pretty hard, we do realize that there's certain things that are pretty fluid, and one of them is things like this that pop up from time to time. I'd make the motion, Judge.
Thanks, sir. Is there a second?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions on this item by anyone? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Waller, second by Commissioner Beecham to approve the item as stated. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. While you're up there, item number 4 is discuss, consider, take action to authorize IT department to renew hardware and software maintenance support on the Tangent Data Cove email archive appliance in the amount of $5,076.08 to be paid from 400.412.4646 lease maintenance computer number 1. Mr. Crutchfield.
Yes, sir. This is our appliance that archives incoming and outgoing emails, which keeps us in compliance with Texas Open Records. Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any comments or questions in the audience? Okay. Motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Marlowe to approve the item as stated. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item 5 is discuss, consider, and take action to accept quote for striping at the courthouse annex parking lot.
Yes, Judge, I solicited quotes from 2 different agencies. I only received one back, but it is a very good quote for completion of all the striping at the annex parking lot, which is essentially non-existent at this point. I do have a quote for $1,398 to do all the striping, including the blue handicap decals in the parking lot. So yellow stripes at a cost of 28 cents a linear foot. Blue stripes at a cost of 32 cents a linear foot.
That is a very competitive quote. So it would be my motion to accept the quote from A-Long Striping for the total of $1,398.
Second.
That's real cheap. That's cheaper than what we got the.
I thought we'd just get Tommy a paintbrush.
Well, that was.
That's
just a good price.
That hadn't been suggested.
Project manager. That's kind of what we were thinking, but,
I hear you.
yeah.
Good question.
Anyway, so.
Well, improvement fund, there's another copy.
Yeah.
Buried in there.
Do we need to check and make sure that we're compliant in all areas before we stripe that?
We are. I've already checked with
You already checked that? Because I know things change and you want to make sure you got the right mix. Is this for Nancy or is this for me?
There's some for everybody. You can take one down, pass it around.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item 6 is to discuss, consider, take action to approve the purchase of tables and chairs for the second floor mezzanine at a total cost of $4,835.28 to be paid from Permanent Improvement Fund. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, this is to complete the entire remodel job on the mezzanine floor. We had nothing in the original budget to cover what was going in the break room. We did purchase some tables and chairs that were originally in the lobby that we proposed to move into the break room, and opting for a larger table in the lobby area based on some input we've received since we put those in.
Yeah.
So this is just to finish up the overall project.
All right.
And the total cost for that would be $48,3528.
Did you happen to get a chance to talk to Judge King? Are these kind of chairs we add to this order to get that done for his jury room, or?
No, that would be different type of chairs.
Okay.
These would be the same chairs that we've put in the lobby right now. They're the exact same ones.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other comment or discussion? Anyone in the audience? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item 7 is discuss and consider take action to approve the county treasurer's report for June 2018 and authorize county judge and commissioners to sign an affidavit certifying compliance with section 114.026 of the local government code for June 2018. Mr. Hampton.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I tried to get the project manager to present this today, but he's busy buying paint. But today, the financial report is going to be given by Joel Jimenez, completely in Spanish.
Why not?
Probably just so that's understanding.
And he swore me to secrecy, but his great-grandfather rode with the Confederate cavalry down in South Texas.
San Diego, Texas.
San Diego, Texas. That's where he came from.
Oh, my God.
So that kind of goes in line with, hey, I can talk as long as the sheriff can. I just want to make sure.
That was pretty brief for the sheriff.
Like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion, Judge.
Yes, sir.
And all those guys left too. I hate that.
Oh, they didn't.
But this is your courthouse, so really, I appreciate all of them being here. Hey, we're a little over $4 million ahead of where we were at this time last year, which represents a 17% increase. Before you get to shaking your head saying, "Oh, what a great day!" Next month, we're going to pay out $2.5 million in our bond deal, as Willie's probably already told you, and I'm going to remind you. But here we are. That's June. Anybody got any questions about June?
You mean they expect us to make payments on that deal?
You know, it's one of those sidebars that we hold a grudge when you tell them the check's in the mail. Did I miss a report now?
No.
Okay. anyway, now you're looking at July and, end of July, that's where, kind of where we are. We're ahead, but like I said, we're gonna take a pretty good hickey in September. So, but we're still in good shape, and of course the problem, oh gosh, he did leave. The problem is that we don't have any industry coming into Wichita Falls, and I'm a native, son, I love this community, and it's painful for me to see no one really proactive that I'm aware of, other than
there is
Earl Henry beating his chest and not getting much response. Any questions on your, either one of those reports? Well, you got any, good gosh, what are you, motivating figure, aren't I? Yeah. Well, good deal.
We always say
kind of reminds me of home.
Yeah, we save you for last, hoping you'll keep the crowd here, but you, the project manager's hanging in.
Well, I owe him money, that's
I'll make a motion, we accept the treasurer's report as submitted.
Second.
This time.
Any other comments, questions from the audience?
I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
On the waste station?
Treasurer's report.
Oh, never mind then.
You can bring that up during the next.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Yeah. No. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Harvey, second by Commissioner Beecham to accept the item as stated. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We're now down to public comment. No, Ms. Flores.
Lori said I had to go to my. I was just wondering on the waste station, for weights and all that. Is it possible to get out of that fine by sitting it out, the judge waiving it, or community service?
Not
Like
likely,
everything else?
not likely, but I'm not positive of that, but I think that's not generally an alternative. Okay.
The motor carrier people are really kind of strict. They don't have a lot of.
No, there's not a lot of leeway.
Just to comment on that, Judge, and make sure everybody understands, the DPS had asked us if we could help them construct that because they'll use that facility most of the time. They already use it. It's already there. Waste station's already there. It's just that they would like to have a set of permanent scales.
Bathroom.
And when what we call the CTERS money came out, it was a program that was sent back to the counties to help improve rural roads, county roads that had been torn up by oil field activity. And it was state funding that came about. And it's certainly worse in some areas than others. We do have some heavy traffic out in certain areas. And we divided that money up among the precincts, and since that existing station is in my precinct, I reserved part of that grant money to be used to fulfill that request to DPS that would be jointly used by them and us. And so that money is there to, I think, about 70% of it, Judge?
75%.
75% of it. So that's how that came about. Once again, the waste station's already there, it's already operating. This is just to really enhance it and make it more of an all-weather facility that can be used by multiple law enforcement agencies. That's how that came about. So a major portion of that is, and we're really not supposed to talk about revenue that comes from it. Everybody that has built one has had a good experience with revenue, but it's really not about the revenue, it's about highway safety. And so that's a little bit of a synopsis on where that came from and why that discussion's going forward.
Anyone else in the audience? Okay, Commissioner Beecham?
Go ahead, John.
Commissioner Harvey?
On Thursday, August the 9th, the Redneck Culinary Academy was proud to go to the Burke Burnett Independent School District and feed about 400 of their teachers who were in an in-service that day. I think it was very successful. A couple of them actually said they like to fish. So I think it turned out all right, and we was proud to get to do it. Got to go on Friday afternoon to the Burkburnett Independent School District, to the high school. And, you know, them teachers, they don't make a lot of money, but they also have the biggest hearts. Hands to Hands, United Way, Burkburnett Legacy Foundation, and the Burkburnett Senior Citizen Center got to go in front of the high school teachers and make their pitch about donating. And my pitch is, of course, from the Burkburnett Senior Citizen Center. I've been on that board for several years. As a matter of fact, this Thursday morning will be my last board meeting. I'm termed out, so I have to get off for a year. But that's one of my passions. The Burkburnett Senior Citizen Center has a program called We Love Our Seniors. And we're asking 300 people in our community to buy one $6 meal a month. Just buy one a month, and it will greatly help our financial deficit. I'd like to put in a little kudos for our judge this morning. Judge Gossam handed me a check, said, hey, I'm buying 2 meals a month. And so
I'm going to show up for one of them.
We'll let you eat. But I love the participation that we're starting to get. And today at 1 o'clock, I'll be at the Burkburnett Independent School District, a brand new school, Overton Ray, at 1, and I'll get to speak to all the elementary school teachers. I'm so excited about the possibility of overcoming our $30,000 deficit. We got seniors there are 42 seniors on a waiting list. And those are seniors that need us. You don't have a clue how many times we are the only outside contact that these seniors have on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. We have actually knocked on the door. Nobody would come to the door. You look through the window, they're laying on the floor. And we've saved some lives by calling 911. I think it's a great program. It's something that I absolutely am going to support, and I hope I can talk you into supporting it too. So if you want to buy one meal a month at $6, you can certainly get with me. Tommy, me and you, buddy. That's all I have.
Y'all buying each other? So.
No, I want him to buy.
Okay. Commissioner Marler?
Well, I actually had one of the teachers from Burkburnett in church yesterday morning that told me how much they appreciated the meal and enjoyed it. So good compliment. Said they thought it was just as good as it could possibly have been, and I think it was too. The guys worked hard, did a good job. Other than that, thank God for the rain. Our fire departments need a break. This will help them. It's going to turn this whole country's ugly, this old burned up grass and stuff, and it's going to look a whole lot better here in a few days. So we're blessed with that. I enjoyed going up to Vernon Saturday night for Summer's Last Blast. That's a great event in North Texas. And there's like 4 guys in Levi's and T-shirts got that started about, 25 or so, 30 years ago, something like that. I've been to most of them. It's well run, and I'd estimate there's probably 20,000 people in Vernon on Saturday night. That's a pretty big deal for a small North Texas town. So congratulations to them. And
Not all of us have a really cool tea bucket and a restored 65 Mustang.
That's true.
I mean,
which is why I have no hide left on my hands.
We just get to go over and sit in the lawn chair and watch you guys drive by with all your stud cars, your muscle cars. Pretty cool stuff, though. Go ahead.
Neat event.
One of the questions that's going to come up is on the disaster declaration. Do we want to raise that? I can rescind that by my order, or we can leave it and see how we fare the rest of the week or so.
I would leave it.
I'd leave it for a week, and
yeah, for sure.
I think the main thing that if we pull it, Judge, and lift some limitations on some of the guys who are trying to do some welding and stuff, and make it a little easier on them, but you need to always be aware when you're welding outdoors anyway. So
absolutely,
and most of them are.
What we're asking them to do, they should do anyway.
That's really true. The whole thing boils down to common sense.
Yes.
Nancy, we'll put that on for next Monday.
I think that's a good idea. We'll know a lot more about where we are.
Whether to remove the burn ban or not.
We're a lot better right now than we were just 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, the rest of the week has some opportunities in it also. So, all right. Anything else?
what's our schedule this week? We're on Friday and.
Well, Wednesday.
Do we do Wednesday?
Wednesday, you better do Wednesday, that's payday.
That's payroll, wasn't it?
And Commissioner Watts will be gone, so, anybody else gonna be gone?
No, not Wednesday
Okay.
morning.
I will be leaving Thursday to we're doing a series of mock hearings, videoing those for county judges trainings, and I'll do the one on mental health. They typecast, I'm afraid, but, so, at any rate, I will be in Austin for a day and a half to do that, or a half day driving down there and a day with the people.
Judge, I want to make sure that the people understand that you do go to Austin a lot, but it's not funded by the taxpayers of Wichita County. And, I mean, that's fair that they should know that he's on a lot of boards, West Texas judges.
Well, I'm off, I'm getting,
Are you getting off?
Yeah, Nancy Joyce been beating me, I'm off of that, I go off state board this year, and,
Well, that
Commissioner
probably makes you
Beecham.
slow down a little bit.
well, I would hope, but, no, it takes a lot of travel, but the thing is, I'll have to say, and I appreciate you bringing up, that doesn't cost taxpayers here, but some of that, all of my judicial education is covered under the committee I serve on that plans and does the educational programs, and I teach in that, and so it gives me a chance to also help and work with new judges coming in, and then every 2 years when we get the new judges and new commissioners, it gives an opportunity to speak to them and talk about county government, and I get tickled every time we finish that. The evaluations have one common phrase: I had no idea what I was really getting into, as you all probably said on yours. Yeah. Okay, it's 12:02. Are we adjourned? Okay.